Welcome back, friends. Come, sit under the baobab tree. The fire is low tonight. The sky above Owerri is full of stars. And the story I have for you, it is one that many mothers know. Many families know. They just do not speak of it. You see, when a child goes far away, to London, to America, to a place the village has only seen in pictures, something goes with them. Something of who they were. And sometimes, when they return, the something that comes back is not the same thing that left. This is the story of Emeka Okafor, 29 years old, 8 years in London. He was supposed to come back the same Emeka who left, the same son, the same firstborn of the Okafor family of Nikid, Owerri. He came back, yes, but he came back different. And behind him, one quiet step back at the airport, stood a woman nobody had been told about. A wife with no name in Owerri. A ring on his finger that nobody helped him choose. Sit down, friend. This story will take some time. She saw the ring before she saw his face. Mama Okafor had been standing at that arrivals barrier for 45 minutes, holding a handwritten sign that said Emeka, as if her own son needed a sign to recognize his mother. But the truth was, after 8 years, she was not completely sure she would still recognize him. And she was right to be unsure. The sliding doors opened, and there he was. Tall, well-dressed, a long coat over ankara lapels, half London, half Owerri, as if even his clothes could not decide who he was. He saw her. He smiled. He walked toward her. And on the third finger of his left hand, there was a ring. A gold ring, catching the airport light. A ring she had never seen before. A ring she did not put there. A ring he had never mentioned. Not in one phone call. Not in one message. Not in one letter in 8 years. Mama Okafor looked at the ring. Then she looked past her son. And standing one step behind him, quiet as a shadow, was a woman. Let me tell you who Emeka Okafor was, before London changed him. He was the firstborn son of Godwin Okafor and Ngozi Okafor of Nikid village in Owerri, Imo State. Godwin was a civil engineer, a quiet and careful man who believed that the only things worth building were things that would last. Ngozi, Mama Okafor, was a trader. She sold fabric and ready-made clothing at the Ikakwa market in Owerri, and she was very good at it. Her stall was always the busiest. Her laughter carried 3 rows down. Emeka was their pride, their investment, their hope wrapped in a human being. He was sharp in school from the beginning, always in the top 3, always asking questions that his teachers had to think about before answering. When he was 16, his father said to him, Emeka, you will go abroad. You will get a degree that this country cannot give you, and then you will come back and build something. And Emeka believed it. He went to London at 21, University of East London. Engineering degree, then a job, then a better job. Then the calls home became less frequent. The visits never came. 8 years. Mama Okafor counted the years like she counted her bolts of fabric. One by one. She held them carefully so they would not feel too heavy. She still has his secondary school certificate framed on the wall of the parlor. She still keeps his room the way it was the day he left. His arsenal poster. His engineering textbooks on the shelf. The small glass cup he used to drink from every morning. When people asked why Emeka had not visited in 8 years, she had an answer ready. He is building his career. When the time is right, he will come home. The time was apparently right now. But nobody told her about the ring. And nobody told her about the woman. Her name was Ifeoma. Not the Ifeoma from Nikid village. Not the Ifeoma from Owerri. Not anyone the Okafor family had ever met. Ifeoma Obi. From Anambra State. 26 years old. She had grown up partly in London with relatives. She had a British accent that sat lightly on top of her Igbo. She wore a simple navy blue dress and small gold earrings. Her face was calm, the particular calm of a woman who knew she was walking into a difficult room and had prepared herself for it. She stood behind Emeka at the arrivals barrier, one quiet step back. Not hiding, not running, simply waiting to see how this would unfold. Emeka embraced his mother. He held her for a long time, longer than she expected. the kind of hold that carries guilt in it. Mama Okafor held him back, and over his shoulder, she looked at the woman behind him. When Emeka pulled back, he took a breath. "Mama," he said, "this is Ifeoma." A pause. "My wife." The arrivals hall continued around them, trolleys rolling, children crying, announcements in 3 languages. Mama Okafor looked at the ring on his finger. Then she looked at Ifeoma. Then she looked at her son. And she said, very quietly, the only thing she could say in that moment. "Come." "The car is outside." That was all. 3 words. The car is outside. But those 3 words carried the weight of everything she was not yet ready to say. The compound in Nikid was exactly as Emeka had left it. The guava tree in the front yard that he used to climb. The old gray generator by the side of the house. The 3 concrete steps up to the front door, with a crack in the second step that Papa Okafor had been saying he would fix for 15 years. Everything the same, and yet somehow different, because the person seeing it had changed. Emeka got out of the car and looked at the compound for a long moment. Something moved in his face, something between memory and the strange sadness of finding that home has stayed still while you have moved. Ifeoma got out and stood beside him. She looked at the compound too. Politely, the face of a woman trying to understand the context she has arrived in. The neighbors had already gathered. Because in Nikid, a car arriving at dawn is a story, and people move toward stories instinctively. Mama Chisholm from 3 houses down was at her gate. Baba Nwosu was sitting on his bench as always. The market women who passed this road every morning had slowed their walk. They were all looking at Ifeoma. Not rudely, not loudly, just looking. In the way that Owerri looks at things it did not know were coming. Inside the house, Emeka's younger sister Adora, 24, recently graduated from the University of Owerri, the one who had been managing Mama all these years, sat in the parlor and said nothing. She watched Ifeoma walk into the family home, and she said absolutely nothing. But her expression said everything. Papa Okafor shook his son's hand. Then he looked at Ifeoma. Then he said, "Welcome to our home." For words. Polite, careful, the welcome of a man who is thinking and not yet ready to speak. Bell that evening, when Emeka and Ifeoma had gone to rest, Papa Okafor called his wife into the kitchen. He closed the door, and in a low voice he said, "Ngozi, when exactly was this wedding? And why are we finding out today?" Mama Okafor stood at the kitchen counter with her hands flat on the surface, and her eyes closed. She had been cooking all day. A meal worthy of a homecoming, and she had done it in silence, with her emotions pressed down as flat as the dough she had kneaded for the soup thickener. "He was married in London," she said. 3 months ago. Registry office. He did not tell us because..." She stopped. She did not finish the sentence because she did not yet know what belonged at the end of it. "Because why?" Papa Okafor asked. "He says he wanted to tell us in person. 3 months is not a long journey. Owerri is not far." "I know." They were both quiet for a moment. Outside the kitchen window, the Owerri night had its usual sounds. Generators running, dogs somewhere, the distant sound of a church that kept its Wednesday service late. "Tell me about the girl," Papa Okafor said. "Her name is Ifeoma. From Anambra. Her parents are in Onitsha. Her father is a retired civil servant. Her mother is a caterer." "Igbo?" "Yes, Igbo. Christian. She works in London as a medical administrator." Papa Okafor nodded slowly. He was listening for what his wife was not saying. "But," he said, "but we did not meet her. We did not assess her. We did not give our blessing. Our son went to London and married a woman and did not tell his own parents until he brought her through the door." Another silence. "And what does Adora say?" Papa asked. Mama looked at him. "Adora has not spoken since they arrived." "That is worse than speaking," he said. And he was right. In the Okafor family, Adora's silence was never emptiness. It was always a container. And what it was holding right now, nobody was sure. But the biggest question was not about the wedding. It was not about the registry in London. The biggest question had been sitting in the back of Mama Okafor's mind since the airport. And it was this. Why did her son look like a man who had come home to confess something? The next morning, Owerri woke up with the compound before the Okafors were ready for it. By 7 o'clock, 3 aunties had arrived. 2 of them were from Mama Okafor's side and 1 was from Papa Okafor's side, and all 3 had received news of the return and the ring and the unknown wife through the network that Owerri runs on, the system of whispers and phone calls and market conversations that moves faster than any internet. They came with food and smiling faces and eyes that miss nothing. Ifeoma was in the kitchen helping Mama Okafor when the aunties arrived. She greeted them properly, kneeling, the correct greeting, calling each one auntie with the right amount of warmth. Her Igbo was decent, not perfect, carrying the shape of someone who grew up speaking it more than using it, but she tried. The aunties assessed her the way Owerri aunties assess everything, completely, and without appearing to. Emeka sat in the parlor with Papa Okafor and the men of the house, and they talked about England and the economy and his work. Careful conversation. The real conversation had not started yet. It started at lunch. Adora served the food. Ofunugbu with EBA. Properly made. The kind that takes 3 hours. They sat at the table. Papa Okafor said grace. They began to eat. And then Auntie Uche, the boldest of the 3, Mama's oldest sister, the one who said what everyone else was thinking, looked at Emeka across the table and said, calmly, Emeka, in our family, we do not do things like this. Tell me, is there something you are not telling your parents? The table went very still. Ifeoma stopped chewing, but did not look up. Emeka looked at his plate for 1 second. Then he looked up at Auntie Uche, and he said, yes, Auntie, there is something. The table listened. Emeka cleared his throat. He looked at his father, then his mother, then down at the table, then up again. He was a man choosing the order of words very carefully. When I first went to London, he said, the first 2 years were very hard. You know this. I told you some of it, but not all. His parents were watching him. I had a friend, Emmanuel, from Owerri also. We came up together in London, worked the same kind of jobs, supported each other. He was like a brother to me in London when I had nobody. A pause. Emmanuel had a sister, Chidinma. She was also in London. We became close. Very close. For 2 years, we were together. Mama Okafor put her fork down very carefully. And then, she said, and then it ended. For reasons that I will not go into today. It ended. I want you to know this because... He looked at Ifeoma beside him. Because Ifeoma knows. And I did not want there to be something in my history that my wife knows and my family does not. A long silence. Auntie Uche looked at him steadily. That is not the thing I sensed, she said. That is the surface thing. What is underneath? Emeka did not answer immediately. And in that pause, Ifeoma reached across and placed her hand quietly on his arm. Not pushing. Just, I am here. Whatever this is, I am here. Something about that gesture broke something open in the room. Belle, there is a child, Emeka said. And the room, which had been very still, became the stillest it had ever been. A child. 3 years old. A little girl, named Adiz. Living in London with her mother, Chidinma, who Emeka had ended things with 2 years ago. Not because of the child. The child came after they separated, from the last time they were together before the end. It was complicated in the way that young people's lives are complicated when they are far from home and making decisions without the guidance of people who love them. Emeka had been paying for the child since she was born. He had never denied her. He had not been absent. He sent money. He visited her in London. He made sure she had what she needed. But he had not told his family. Not his mother. Not his father. Not Adora. And when he met Ifeoma, and when Ifeoma agreed to marry him, he told her first. He told her everything. And Ifeoma, who is a woman of unusual character, had looked at him across a coffee table in a London flat and said, if you are honest with me, we can build something. But you must be honest with your family too. Before we go home. Not after. Before. And so he had come home. Not just for a homecoming, but to tell the truth. Mama Okafor sat in her chair with her hands in her lap. She was not crying. She was past crying. She was in the place that comes after crying. The dry, careful place where a mother who loves her child has to decide what to do with a truth she did not expect. Papa Okafor was looking at the ceiling. Adora was looking at Emeka, and the expression on Adora's face had changed from silence into something else. Something like, I knew there was something. The Owerri evening came through the window, orange and warm, the generator humming outside. Life continuing while the Okafor family sat with the weight of what they had just been told. Deciduously, there is a kind of courage that is harder than any physical bravery. The courage to tell the truth to the people whose opinion of you matters most. Emeka carried this secret for 3 years. Every month it got heavier, and the weight of a secret, unchecked, will eventually crush what it is stored inside. Later that night, long after everyone else had gone to their rooms, Emeka sat on the veranda with his father. They did not speak for a while. The Owerri night does its own talking, generators, insects, the faraway sound of music from someone's celebration somewhere. Papa Okafor spoke first. You have a daughter, he said. Not a question. Yes, Papa. In London? Yes. Addis? Yes, Papa. Another long silence. She is my granddaughter, Papa Okafor said. I did not know I had a granddaughter. 3 years, and I did not know. Emeka did not answer. There was no answer worth giving. I am angry, Papa Okafor said. I will not pretend otherwise. But I am glad you told us. Some sons never tell. They carry it until it destroys everything. He looked at his son. Your mother will need time. Give her time. And then he paused. Then we will talk about what happens next. About Addis. About this Chidinma. About what responsibility looks like from here. Yes, Papa. And Ifeoma, Papa Okafor added. She knew before we did. She chose to come anyway. That is not a small thing. Do not take it for granted. Emeka nodded. The Owerri night continued around them. And somewhere in London, a 3-year-old girl named Addis was sleeping, not knowing that on the other side of the world, a family had just found out she existed. Deciduously, the baobab tree does not hide its roots. They spread wide in every direction, visible and honest. A family is the same. What is planted in it belongs to all of it. There is no such thing as a secret that only touches one person. Next episode. Emeka told his family about the child, but there is something else. Something that even Ifeoma does not know. And when Mama Okafor finds it in a photograph, in a phone call, in a detail that does not quite fit, everything Emeka said tonight will need to be said again. Next episode. The wife with no name. Under the Talking Baobab.